Commander Jonah Ryker's boots struck the jagged metallic surface of Zirion 9 with a dull clang that echoed across the summit platform. Above, storm clouds churned violently, casting eerie shadows over the alien assembly. Twin suns pierced the smog in harsh streaks, illuminating the platform's precarious edges. Humans were rare here. Too fragile, too predictable, at least according to the galaxy's consensus. A hiss of poisonous vapor swept across the walkway. The human contingent tightened their grips on survival suits. Lieutenant Mara coughed, scanning the surroundings with a handheld analyzer. Toxin levels are spiking faster than predicted. The ventilation shields won't hold long. Jonah's jaw set. Then we move faster. Every second we hesitate is a second we give them the advantage. He swept a glance over the alien delegates assembled in ceremonial armor, each radiating authority and menace. They sneered openly, as though the humans were a joke daring to exist. A massive tremor shuddered through the platform. Panels groaned, metallic beams twisted, and a low roar rose from the chasm below. Several alien diplomats stumbled, but Jonah's team held firm. Survival was instinct. Humanity was resilience. Commander, Mara said, voice tight. Structural integrity is dropping. If this quake intensifies, the platform could collapse. Jonah studied the fissures spreading across the walkway. Then we test it. Step carefully. Eyes sharp. We're human, we improvise. A voice hissed behind him, thin and mocking. High Chancellor Vrax, towering and serpentine, leaned over the railing. Humans, you should leave. This world doesn't welcome your kind. Death here is polite. Jonah didn't flinch. And yet we're standing, aren't we? His voice was calm, measured, every word a deliberate defiance. Vrax's scales glinted under the twin suns. Confidence is the first step toward foolishness. You will learn the cost. Before he could finish, a new hazard emerged. The platform groaned and tilted sharply. A section near the edge cracked and dropped into the swirling chasm below. Jonah lunged forward, grabbing Mara and yanking her to safety. Dust and vapor choked the air. The aliens watched in stunned silence. Humans did not scream or freeze. They acted. See that? Jonah muttered, voice low to his team. They expect fear. We give action. That's the difference. Mara's analyzer beeped. Tremors aren't natural. They're engineered, deliberate destabilization. This summit, it's designed to test survival under extreme conditions. Jonah nodded. Then we survive it. Not just endure, but observe. Every crack, every shift, every reaction, they reveal weaknesses. Moving forward, the humans navigated a network of precarious walkways. Predatory fauna, native to the Deathworld, stirred below, a mass of chitinous limbs and serrated jaws, drawn to vibrations. Alien delegates ignored them, confident humans would fail before the wildlife became a threat. Jonah's team adjusted movement, controlling vibrations, timing steps precisely. The creatures snarled in frustration, unable to reach the human group. A sudden alarm rang through the platform. Panels of the energy grid flickered violently. Holographic displays showed structural collapse zones. Jonah pointed. Split into 2 units. Observe patterns. Anticipate next hazard. Lieutenant Kiran Das, ever the cynic, muttered. Or die trying. Or survive by thinking ahead. Jonah replied sharply. You know the odds. They never count humans correctly. Let's prove it. The first unit advanced toward a corridor lined with volatile energy conduits. One misstep would trigger a cascade, vaporizing the walkway. Jonah crouched beside a conduit and studied the alien design. See this? He whispered. Redundant failsafes. They expect the inexperienced to panic. We don't panic. We adapt. Mara examined the wiring. If we redirect energy through the support beams, we can neutralize the hazard and stabilize the section long enough to pass. Jonah smiled faintly. Exactly. Humans make survival look effortless because we're trained to think 2 steps ahead. The team executed the plan. Sparks flew, and the corridor groaned, but the path held. Jonah led his people across, eyes scanning every surface for anomalies. Every hazard survived was a lesson learned. Every alien underestimate, a silent victory. By midday, the summit platform had begun to fracture under continual engineered hazards. A section of the floor beneath Vrax trembled and gave way slightly, sending his ceremonial staff clattering against the platform. His expression darkened, surprise quickly masked by anger. Humans surviving, navigating, the death world by design? It was unacceptable. Jonah allowed himself a measured glance at Vrax. You plan challenges, but you forget one thing: humans adapt. Vrax hissed, stepping back. Adaptation is temporary. Survival, fleeting. You will fail. Jonah didn't respond. He was already observing the next hazard, a plasma fissure forming across the main walkway. The fissure widened unpredictably. He turned to Mara and Kieran. Measure the pulse, calculate the oscillation, and time the steps. Precision, humans. That's our weapon. As the fissure hissed and sparked beneath them, Jonah led his team forward. Each step was deliberate, each motion calculated. The aliens watched, mouths open in disbelief. Humans, small, fragile, seemingly out of place, they moved through engineered death without hesitation. By evening, the team had reached the summit hall's central chamber. They were exhausted, bruised, but unbroken. The chamber itself was designed as the ultimate test, a suspended arena with shifting platforms, volatile atmospherics, and latent energy traps. Jonah's gaze swept over it. Observation complete. Data logged. Next step, live through it, and learn everything we can. Mara exhaled, gripping Jonah's arm. They expect failure. Yet, here we are. Jonah allowed a faint smile. And that's why they miscalculate humans. We survive not because we're lucky, but because we refuse to give fear control. From the shadows, alien delegates whispered, scanning the humans. Even the most skeptical among them could not hide a grudging recognition. This species, underestimated by all, might just redefine what survival meant in the galaxy. A sudden tremor shook the chamber floor. Jonah straightened, eyes sharp. Prepare. The real challenge begins now. The Deathworld Summit was not just a test of endurance. It was humanity's first step into a galaxy that assumed their weakness, and the first proof that assumption would be their undoing. The central chamber of the Deathworld Summit was a crucible. Platforms floated above bottomless chasms, energy conduits pulsed erratically along the walls, and the atmosphere shifted between breathable air and toxic gas in unpredictable waves. Alien delegates observed from secure balconies, confident humans would falter. Jonah Ryker's team, however, moved with careful precision, each step measured, each decision deliberate. Mara Chen scanned the shifting platforms. Energy fluctuations rising. If one misstep, she didn't finish. The platforms tilted violently beneath their feet, forcing Jonah to grab her arm and steady both of them. Exactly, he said, voice calm. We move with the world, not against it. Every hazard is predictable if you pay attention. Lieutenant Kieran Doss frowned. Predictable? These shifts aren't natural. They're chaotic by design. Jonah's gaze swept the chamber. Chaos is always patterned. Find the pattern, exploit it. That's human advantage. A holographic display flickered, showing the first challenge, the trial of elements. It was simple in description, deadly in execution. Delegates would release simultaneous torrents of energy, plasma, and acidic vapor, forcing contestants to navigate a gauntlet while collecting 3 energy nodes. Failure meant death, or worse. Jonah studied the paths. We split into 2 teams. Mara and I take the upper nodes, Kieran and Soren handle lower. Timing is everything. The team moved. Streams of plasma licked at the edges of platforms, sizzling when contact was made. Acidic vapors hissed and condensed, corroding surfaces, creating new pitfalls. Jonah led with calm precision, moving in rhythm with the hazards rather than against them. Watch the oscillation on that plasma arc, Jonah instructed Mara. Step on the rhythm, not the surface. Mara's feet moved with deliberate accuracy. Got it. Node secured. The lower team wasn't so fortunate. Kieran's analyzer beeped frantically. Plasma trajectory off pattern. Soren, back. Adjust your step. Soren hesitated, slipping slightly. Jonah's voice cut through the chaos. Predict the energy, don't react. Anticipate, Soren. Soren corrected midfall, collecting the node. The humans pressed forward, proving that observation, intelligence, and adaptive strategy were as lethal as brute strength. Meanwhile, the aliens watched in disbelief. High Chancellor Vrax leaned over the balcony, serpentine eyes narrowing. How? He hissed. Humans should be incinerated by now. They anticipate, they endure. Jonah's team reached the final node. Acid vapors coalesced in unexpected jets, forcing Mara to jump with split-second timing. She landed perfectly, drawing a soft nod from Jonah. Human reflexes, he murmured. Not instinct alone, adaptation, calculation, teamwork. A tremor shook the chamber as the trial of logic began. Holographic barriers formed, shifting constantly. To advance, the team needed to solve simultaneous puzzles while avoiding lethal traps, moving energy grids, floating platforms that collapsed without warning, and airborne predators engineered to detect heat signatures. Divide attention, Jonah instructed. I handle left grid, Mara right. Communicate patterns verbally, continuously. The team moved in synchrony, reading cues in alien energy pulses and environmental shifts. Words became tools as much as hands and eyes. Node stable, Mara called. Plasma spike in 3, 2, now jump. They landed together, narrowly avoiding an energy spike that could have vaporized them. The aliens murmured in shock. Even seasoned delegates were unprepared for humans' combination of intellect, adaptability, and composure. Vrax's hiss filled the chamber. Impossible. Survival should not be calculated. It should be chaos, and they. Jonah stepped forward, ignoring the words. Chaos isn't your ally, Chancellor. It's just another variable we can study, anticipate, and exploit. Suddenly, the final trial activated, the chamber of extremes. The temperature plummeted, then surged in waves. Platforms shifted unpredictably. Energy traps oscillated at deadly speeds. Humans had seconds to reach the exit. Jonah analyzed the environment, noting the pattern of temperature waves. Short bursts, long pauses. Heat traps cycle every 12 seconds. Cold traps every 9. We move in harmony, not haste. Mara grabbed 2 energy conduits. We can use these to redirect plasma bursts temporarily, giving us a stable path. Jonah nodded. Do it. Timing is everything. They advanced. Plasma arcs struck where conduits had been moments before, vaporizing sections that could have been fatal. The team synchronized every movement, balancing speed and caution. Kieran whispered, awed. We're reading the room. Anticipating death. Jonah didn't reply, his focus unbroken. Every step was calculated. Every hazard observed. Every alien expectation shattered. Finally, the exit chamber came into view. Energy grids hummed violently, but Jonah spotted a subtle pattern, an interval long enough for a single coordinated dash. Ready? He asked. Mara, Kieran, and Soren nodded. Jonah counted. 3, 2, 1, go! The team sprinted in perfect unison. Plasma arcs collided behind them, energy grids flickered, and predators lunged, but none touched the humans. Breathless, they landed safely in the chamber beyond. The aliens were stunned into silence. Vrax's scales shimmered with fury. They survived every trial. Every one. Jonah wiped sweat from his brow, voice calm and commanding. Not luck. Observation, calculation, adaptation. You design trials for fear. Humans don't fear. We act. Mara exhaled, voice shaky. And learn. Every step, every hazard, data collected. Jonah's eyes swept the alien balconies. Let them see, let them understand. Humans survive because we analyze, adapt, and endure. We don't stumble. We evolve. Even as the team caught their breath, Jonah knew this was only the beginning. The Deathworld Summit wasn't just about surviving engineered trials. It was about proving a point that would echo across the galaxy. Humans were a species no one could predict, and no one could underestimate. A tremor shook the chamber again, smaller this time, but deliberate. Jonah glanced at Mara and Kieran. Next trial begins soon. Keep focus. Observe, adapt, survive. That is what makes us human. And as the alien delegates whispered among themselves, a grudging respect began to ripple through the summit. The humans had survived the first wave, not by luck, but by turning intelligence, teamwork, and sheer resilience into weapons stronger than any alien-designed death trap. The final trial began without warning. The chamber expanded, platforms shifting unpredictably, energy grids pulsating at frequencies designed to disorient and dismember. Alien delegates leaned over balconies, confident humans would falter at last. Commander Jonah Ryker's team tightened formation, eyes scanning every movement, every oscillation, every potential hazard. Patterns emerging, Marichan said, voice steady despite exhaustion. Energy pulses aren't random, they cycle in intervals of 12 seconds, then 5. If we time our steps, Jonah nodded, then we turn hazard into advantage. Humans don't just survive, they manipulate the environment. Lieutenant Kiran Das checked the analyzer, brow furrowed. We can destabilize one section of the grid to create a temporary bridge across the chasm. It's risky, but the aliens won't anticipate it. Jonah's lips curved slightly. Perfect. Risk is human advantage. As they moved, the floor beneath them vibrated violently. Plasma arcs, acidic vapors, and sudden bursts of extreme temperature threatened to dislodge them into the abyss. Jonah led with calm precision, counting steps aloud in a rhythm that synchronized with the energy pulses. Humans were not reacting, they were dictating the flow of survival. From the balconies, High Chancellor Vraxa's eyes narrowed. Impossible, he hissed. They anticipate every trap, every fluctuation. They survive because they are adaptive. Jonah overheard, voice low but audible. Observation, calculation, adaptation. That's human strength. The team reached a particularly lethal corridor, rotating energy blades designed to shred anything without perfect timing. The aliens smirked, convinced death was inevitable. Jonah assessed the rotation cycles and realized that, by slightly altering the timing of the previous energy conduit, they could create a window to pass unharmed. Now, he commanded. The team synchronized their movements perfectly. Blades swung inches past them. Heat and sparks hissed in close proximity, but every human stepped forward unscathed. The aliens gasped. Every movement was precise, deliberate, and audacious. Adjust the timing for the next corridor, Jonah instructed. We control the battlefield, not just survive it. Mara redirected plasma flows, Kieran monitored structural integrity, and Soren coordinated steps. Every hazard became data, every obstacle a puzzle to exploit. Humans were no longer merely enduring, they were asserting dominance over the Deathworld's engineered chaos. The climax approached, the central arena, a colossal chamber suspended above a volatile core of molten energy. The floors shifted continuously, and energy grids threatened to collapse entirely. Vrax, towering and furious, hissed, "Survival ends here, humans. You cannot manipulate death itself." Jonah's eyes swept the chamber. We don't manipulate death, we understand it. And then we survive it. He deployed a final tactic, small drones carrying energy conductors. They intercepted the most dangerous energy pulses, redirecting them into harmless dispersions. The platform stabilized just long enough for the humans to cross the central arena. Every step was a calculated strike, every motion a defiance of expectation. The alien delegates watched in stunned silence. Their death traps, their engineered environment, their assumptions, all rendered irrelevant by human ingenuity and teamwork. Finally, they reached the exit point. Jonah turned to face Vrax. Chancellor, humans survive not by strength alone, but by intelligence, adaptability, and courage. You invited us to the Deathworld Summit expecting failure. That mistake is now yours. Vrax's jaw tightened, scales bristling. This cannot be. Your species is unpredictable. Survival should not follow logic, it should be chaos. Yet you. Predictable? Perhaps to some. But to us, chaos is just another variable. Jonah interrupted. And humans excel where others falter. Mara exhaled, exhausted but victorious. We've collected every pattern, every anomaly. Every hazard teaches us something. That's power they can't anticipate. Jonah nodded. And that's why humans are never irrelevant. We turn fear into advantage, peril into opportunity, and expectations into lessons. The tremors ceased. Platforms stilled. Energy grids hummed in stabilized patterns. The humans had survived the Deathworld summit intact. Alien delegates murmured, their arrogance replaced by reluctant respect. Even Vrax could not conceal the realization. Humans had redefined the rules of survival. Jonah stepped forward, voice steady and firm. The galaxy assumed humans were fragile, predictable, and expendable. Today, we proved otherwise. Survival is not about who strikes first, but who adapts fastest, who calculates every step, who endures without hesitation. Mara smiled faintly. And that's only the beginning. We now have data, strategy, and proof. We're ready for anything. Jonah surveyed the summit, his team standing tall despite exhaustion. Exactly. Let them remember one thing: humans survive. We endure. We adapt. And when we do, no weapon, no environment, no assumption can stop us. Vrax's glare followed them as they departed. Jonah's words echoed in the chamber long after the humans had left. Underestimate humans at your peril. We are a species defined by persistence, intelligence, and courage. That is our weapon, and it is stronger than anything you designed to destroy us. Outside, the twin suns of Zirion 9 reflected off the shattered summit platforms. Jonah's team regrouped, analyzing every hazard, every environmental quirk, and every alien miscalculation. The Deathworld summit had been more than a test, it was a demonstration. Humanity had survived engineered death, and in doing so, had announced itself as a force no civilization could dismiss. Jonah's voice, calm but resolute, broke the silence. We've survived the impossible. Now, the galaxy knows that humanity is not to be underestimated. Remember this moment, team. Today, we didn't just survive, we defined the limits of possibility. And with that, humans walked off the Deathworld, leaving alien delegates to reconsider everything they thought they knew about survival, strength, and the indomitable will of humanity.